Traditionally, Nikon have been a leader in the camera world with legendary film cameras for many decades. When digital photography started, Nikon, along with Canon, had a great head start with DSLRs. While Nikon and Canon were busy dominating the digital SLR market, Sony had an idea. They decided to take full frame mirrorless cameras very seriously very early on. Welcome to Frames team. Subscribe to the channel and help me reach 6,000 subscribers. About 85% of you do not subscribe and I wish you do. It just takes a click from you but means so much for me. Sony had to bring innovation to get noticed in a market dominated by Canon and Nikon. And you see that innovation DNA till this day in Sony Alpha cameras. When you look at these two cameras, remember that these are two very different companies at the core. The ZF is about Nikon's heritage, combining Nikon's legacy with its modern technology. The ZF is almost symbolic of the transformation that the brand has gone through. This is new Nikon saying hi to the future, trying to regain their lost ground, trying to show what they're capable of. This is also Nikon saying hi to the past with the beautiful classic design of the Nikon ZF. You just can't get over that. The Nikon ZF is conservative in the sense that from the design to the shutter sound to the metallic sound and clicks this camera makes, this Nikon is surely a collector's item. It has something timeless about it. The ZF will never grow old, and if it does, the black paint on the dials you see here will start to peel off and reveal the stunning brass color that they're made of. It's made of brass inside. And it will have a rebirth for you. It should be a conscious choice, therefore, to buy the ZF. It reflects personality, history, and heritage. Not only because of Nikon, but because of the photography world in general. On the other hand, the Sony A7IV is meant for work. And it means business. There is very little to complain about the A7IV. It's one of the most well-rounded cameras I have ever seen or used. Everything about this camera is about getting the job done well. This is one of the most complete cameras on the market. It's the culmination of the all-round modern photographic machine that the Sony Alpha line is all about. Let's talk about how they perform. I haven't had two cameras so similar to each other than when it comes to how they feel while you work with them. But when it comes to performance, the autofocus is neck to neck. 12 autofocus from 66 images on the Sony A7IV with Samyang 51.4 and 15 autofocus from 89 images on the ZF with Nikon 51.8, the Z mount lens. The Sony can shoot only 6 frames per second with 14-bit RAW. At 10 FPS, the RAW files become 12-bit on the Sony. But the ZF can shoot faster at 11 frames per second with 14-bit RAW and 14 shots a second in JPEG. But the Sony is 33 megapixels and the Nikon is 24. Both have incredible dynamic range, but the ZF has slightly more balanced colors and much more pleasing skin tones. Both are good for wildlife and birding. However, in my experience, the ZF is slightly better in bird autofocus and burst shooting because it can do 11 frames per second with full RAW. The Sony's advantage is that the 33 megapixel sensor will allow you to crop a bit more when you're shooting birds. Theoretically, the ZF has better low light autofocus, but I have never found a problem in low light autofocus when it comes to the Sony A7IV in my 2 years of usage. The ZF has crazy good 7-stop IBIS, internal stabilization. The Sony just cannot compete with that. Sony's stabilization just doesn't match Nikon's. Sony's S-Log 3 in video gives tremendous dynamic range, almost 14 stops, and I love it. And the all intra format is so good, so rich. I wish Nikon ZF had that level of color depth and nuance in video. The ZF gives you 10-bit 420 subsampling, but the Sony gives you 10-bit 422 subsampling. That's twice the detail in color on the Sony. Basically, 422 gives you 50% of the color captured by the sensor, but the 420 format gives you only 25% of the colors captured by the sensor. The camera decides to throw away the rest of the information. Mind you, in dynamic range, videos from both are similar thanks to 10-bit because both are 10-bit cameras when it comes to video. So the ZF will still give you 13 stops dynamic range easily in video. But there will be more pleasing gradual transition of color and deeper color from the Sony's S-Log 3 because it's a 422 file. Also, I find that the noise performance in shadows is much better on the Sony files. It's an overall softer look with deeper colors. Love that. I still shoot most of my videos with ZF because the standard picture profile, not log, the standard picture profile color output is just way better looking for me. Sony gives access to great quality and affordable Samyang and Sigma primes, but Nikon Z mount gives you access to all Sony lenses. You can adapt them all. So who is better? It's not only about these bodies to begin with. Nikon was slightly behind Sony in subject detect autofocus for about 4 years now. Now it is not. Sony was behind Nikon's fantastic color science. Sony is still trying to get there in stills especially. I find that the A7IV's reds are problematic and the white balance tilts towards green. But then in video, the N-Log has a blue channel problem on DaVinci Resolve, which is more a Resolve problem than ZF problem, but hey, the problem is there. I think the ZF versus A7IV question is not about these two cameras at all. Like I said before, it's about their approach to the cameras. If you're choosing between these two, then you are essentially deciding which full frame system to commit to for the next 5 years. So whoever you buy, understand that you will commit yourself into an ecosystem. At the center of the Nikon ecosystem is the largest and shallowest Z mount of all full frame mirrorless mounts. It can allow for making lenses that other brands will struggle to compete with more and more going forward. Just refer to the 135 Plena. Especially Sony's small E mount will struggle more. On the horizon of the Nikon Z system is also the power of red cinema camera technology, which will find its way into the Z system and its cameras and possibly sensors soon. On the other hand, Sony is a tech company.
Alpha.
They do many things. So they learn from many tech domains and then fuse all that knowledge into the Alpha line of cameras. Sony is the only camera brand that has successfully delivered small lenses and camera bodies that really work great. And Sony often innovates and challenges, which also means some of the cameras are quite a bit more expensive than in most countries than, let's say, Nikon cameras. Nikon is also kind of being very judicious about this pricing strategy because they want to gain market share. In conclusion, camera to camera, I haven't seen a closer match. Shooting experience wise, these are very different bodies. The ZF is hard to use with a 70 to 200 or 180 to 600 millimeters lens a whole day long because it doesn't have a full grip. The Sony just feels a bit emotionless, but it feels like reminds you of duty. The ZF can do everything well and can shoot fast and angry. The A7IV will give you a nice grip, lot more custom buttons, 33 megapixels, and about, in my view, 15% better video overall. I have both. I buy only top Nikon lenses for Nikon and cheapest high quality third-party lenses that I can find for Sony. I usually go for Samyang lenses. That works for me. I have a simple solution for you. Pick what's cheaper for you in the long run, what's more affordable for you in the long run, so you can invest more in other things. But if you want the best, then see you in the next one. Subscribe.